telling her as supervisor.
You know what? I think you should. She should definitely try it. Well,
She's been applying for jobs all day.
February, which is good because his
Oh,
company
okay. Pledge of allegiance. I pledge
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, I will ask the recording secretary for a roll call.
Dawn Bouquet.
Here.
Brian Carso.
Is he on the phone, Don?
Yeah, there's three of them on the phone.
And I can hear him?
I heard them before when I tried it.
Brian.
Oh, okay.
Jessica Decker.
Here.
Jack Fisher.
Here.
Corey Homer.
Here.
Pam Lutfi.
Here.
Jack O'Leary.
Here.
Felicia Sheehan. Here. And Rosemary Wolf.
Here.
Excellent. All right, now may I have a volunteer to read the mission statement?
Delaware Valley School District, in partnership with our community, stands committed to maximizing student potential, fostering lifelong learning, and promoting responsible citizenship.
Thanks, Don. Now may I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing no objections, the motion carries. And before we start, I just wanted to remind everybody that we do have some folks on the phone tonight. I spoke to Ashley at length today and John back and forth about the different quorum rules and things like that moving forward, because we don't know what's going to happen. And it really seems that our policy has that we have 5 board members present, but it doesn't specify that it's physically present. And when we go to the Sunshine Act, it doesn't specify that either. And so she found case law today that backs us up if we need to do a virtual meeting and establish quorum through virtual means moving forward, we can do that. So I just want to let everybody know that that's on the docket, all right? There'll be some language in the April meeting, I believe, John, right, in order to put in the definition of presence by this school district, which will either be by virtual means or physical means. So to save us for future things along these lines.
So if we wait till the April meeting, though, should this not resolve itself by then we would not be able to virtually meet in April?
No, we can still virtually meet in April
Would
because
it
we
be
don't
by
specify
interpretation?
physically.
Okay.
We're just gonna put in our interpretation, so that way 20 boards away from this.
I
they
just
don't
want to make
look
sure that
back on
doesn't
it.
preclude us from being able to do so should we need to.
We're all
Okay.
set, and the public is able to watch us via YouTube and answer questions and things along those lines.
On the virtual, the public is able to watch the virtual.
Correct.
We're on tonight.
Yes, we are. Same as usual. We were very well set up for this, so that was good. All right, just moving on. There's no presentations this evening. So may I have approval for the minutes from the regular board meeting held on April 20th, 2020?
So
Second.
February.
What's that?
February 20.
February 2020, sorry. Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing no objections, the motion carries. We do not have any student representative reports. And now, do I have any comments on the administrative reports or the attendance reports?
Attendance is getting.
But the high school staff attendance was good. Wasn't it? Did I read that?
Yes.
All
Yeah,
right,
the staff at the high school was 4.9. That was the best attendance almost in the district.
And Raymond's Elementary was good too.
yeah, well, it's been really neat when you see the Chromebook handouts and things like that, all the volunteers from the staff and teachers coming out to help. So that's been awesome, you know. So now moving to the superintendent's report.
Okay, I promised to make it quick. We gave away all the food at Dingman's, but not quite all the food at Shahola, and we had a lot of food left over at DV on Tuesday night for the food giveaway. So all that food is being passed on tomorrow to the food pantry in Dingman's and the food pantry in Milford, because they both are having giveaways tomorrow night. So that's great. We're gonna take it down tomorrow to them, and then they'll give it away tomorrow night. 350 Chromebooks were signed out Tuesday night. Tonight we did some more. If we're headed towards online learning, then we'll be doing another Chromebook sign out tomorrow. Next week. And that was in the announcement today. I took your advice and I did another announcement, Connect Ed call to the community, let them know that all 10 days will be snow days. Because we just told them the first time that the first 5 are definitely snow days. Stay tuned for more info. So we told them all 10 are snow, we'll either be back to school on March 30th, or we'll go online on March 30th. And our teachers have been coming in, getting materials, starting to put stuff up on the Google Classroom sites of each individual teacher. So we're in a pretty good place.
So theoretically, if there's no waiving days by the state or whatnot, theoretically, we'd have to go to school an additional 2 days now.
Right, and the kids are slated to be done on Wednesday, the 17th. So we could have them come in on Thursday,
Like
the
go to
18th, Friday, the 19th, and graduate still Friday, the 19th, and we'd be good. So if these 10 weren't forgiven, then we'd be okay.
I think we're
Can we
gonna have
use
a lot
any of
more.
the ones from Easter recess?
Right now, we're not messing with that because it's highly unlikely that we'll be back.
Mhm.
So, because I think most schools, the earliest people are coming back in
After
our
that.
vicinity is after the Easter vacation. So, and I would say that's our best case scenario. I would think that if the governor doesn't come out and take us out till April 13th or 14th, then I think collectively the schools in this area are probably gonna do it anyway. Because our proximity to New York and New Jersey compared to the people in Western PA, so he may not do it statewide because he's been playing it pretty conservative and trying to have local control. But he had to pull the trigger last Friday because we had that press conference last Friday morning, or not press conference, but that Zoom meeting with the Secretary of Education, and he basically wasn't allowed to say much. And our superintendent's group peppered him with comments like you would not believe comments. And evidently they shared those Friday at lunchtime with the governor. And then he said, we're clearly have to close if they're this mad at us. Because you wouldn't believe, we sat here and watched it, right?
Right.
I mean, and they love, the superintendents love the Secretary of Ed. But boy, they hammered him nonstop. And because they really said nothing for 35 minutes. All they did is review all the things they've already done. And so the governor, give the governor credit, he heard them loud and clear, and that's why he put the 2-week moratorium in.
What is
But it's
happening, oh, I'm sorry, with the, there was an article in the paper, and I forgive me, I didn't look into it beyond the article, but it was talking about, down in Philadelphia, they're not allowing, Chromebooks and learning because not everybody has them, the school doesn't have enough to give them to all the kids. And so then they were expanding that and saying, well, now it's not equitable for anybody, so, we're not gonna let anybody do it across the state. Is that in fact a thing, or is that just one of those balls that's in the air and
No,
has to
Philly
land?
always is their own entity, in fact, there was another article, talking about, this whole online learning is very easy for the schools that have the resources to have a one-to-one, where every kid has a laptop or a Chromebook. Where it's very hard to pull off is in your urban areas that don't have the money because they don't even have the Chromebooks to give away, like we're giving away to borrow for, they just don't have the resources. So it's not that, so there's really two issues. There's the people that may not have a computer or internet at home. And then there's the special ed compliance issue. So they're the two things we're working on the most. I'm planning on to put a call out next Tuesday night. I think Tuesday will probably be the night, or Wednesday, depending what guidance we get from the governor. But if we know we're going online on the 3rd, we'll be putting a call out, and then we'll be canvassing to find out who does not have a computer or who doesn't have internet, so that we know who they are and that we can make paper packets of everything for them, for their families to pick up. And what we're thinking is that we would open up the foyer of the front of each building, set some tables up, and put the workouts and have it open, into the evening, so people, if they're still working, they could come home from work, grab the packets and take it home. And we're thinking we would copy stuff for a week, so they'd have to come pick it up once a week. And that would also be a vehicle where we would let them turn homework in if they wanted. They could turn it in, we would accumulate it for them. Probably 95% of the kids will be able to do the work online, but we want to make accommodations for those people who can't.
Here's a stupid question. Can the work, instead of being in paper packets, can it be loaded to a Chromebook? So they take the Chromebook home and do the work on the Chromebook, but not live?
Offline.
Yeah,
Offline?
You can't load anything on a Chromebook.
Oh,
It's
you
strict-
can't? Okay,
no.
I don't,
That's
no
why they're
Chromebook.
cheap, it's versus a
Web-based.
laptop, you can't
Oh,
install
okay.
anything on there,
Alright.
but an app that takes you out basically
Gotcha.
to the internet.
All right.
They don't have like hard drives like they're used
Yeah.
to with computers. That's why
That
they're
would've
lighter
been
and
a
cheaper.
nice-
That's why these things are so
Right,
light.
Right,
So,
How will the grading process be? Are we gonna grade kids or?
yeah, teachers will grade the assignments and then put them into their power school just like they always did. So, obviously, it may not be as efficient because stuff may come in waves, where I don't have anything from Johnny and all of a sudden there's 2 weeks worth of work from Johnny. But as long as we get the work in a somewhat timely fashion, we'll be okay. We don't know if we're gonna do this for a week, 3 weeks, or
For the
what,
rest of the
you know,
year,
who
yeah.
knows?
Now, but that article that was said, because it mentioned in that article that there was a possibility of them not allowing it across the state. That's not in discussion
No, that
anywhere that
hasn't
you.
come up with our
Okay.
statewide meetings. That was a hypothetical from somebody down that way, that maybe this will have ramifications, but many schools started right away. There were schools that had one-to-one computer programs where they're in their 4th day of online learning. The hard part is making sure we can meet the needs of special ed kids or get those services to them when we can. So in other words, if we owe an hour of this and an hour of this and an hour of this, we may have to do compensatory services in the summer to catch up.
Right.
If it's PT, OT, speech, to make sure if we owe them 30 hours, we may not be able to do it now because it's not safe to send the speech teacher around to all these homes because all they have to do is contract it one place, they'll spread it to all 30.
And you're spreading it to kids that a lot of times, like,
Yeah, they could be very vulnerable. So therefore, if we owed somebody 30 hours, we know we owe them, and we'll make arrangements with their families to give it to them as soon as we can. I mean, it's not perfect, but none of this is perfect. I mean,
Well, and ideally, and I understand the equity issue, but at the same time, if we can educate most of the kids and then, like you said, make arrangements for those services when we can, at least they're getting something,
Yeah.
and something's better than nothing,
yeah,
if
because
they're
if
gonna
we
be
stop
home for a
right now,
month.
we're only at day 124.
Right,
So if we stop right now and we don't do anything and then they just forgive us, then the kids lose out on 56 days.
and it's not just this year, those
Right, I
they
think-
still can meet those standards, so just because PSSA's Keystones have been, canceled for this year, they still need they need to learn that material for next year. So then next year, they're already starting the school year off, at a deficit if you don't make up that education now.
and what does that do? to
And what you're
seniors?
gonna have is you're gonna have teachers trying to do 13 months of education next year. They're gonna have a remedial work, and they're gonna have to try to do it in 9. But keeping with that question I asked you before about the grading, I'm assuming in the beginning is since there's most of our children have never done online education, there's gonna be some kind of curve.
Well,
Some kind of
the teachers will make accommodations.
voracious curve, yeah, till they get used to the whole system. But, yeah, if anything we teach them now is better because, except for kindergarten next year where we have new children coming in, all of these children will need remedial work. Every child, whether they're an 8 child or a struggling child, they're gonna need some remedial work. So the more we get in now, more education we're able to educate now, the better off they'll be next year.
And I think, Jack, to your point, I will say, I think most of the kids are pretty used to all of these online resources.
Right.
I think it's more educating the parents as to how to access them than it really has to do with the kids.
But-
Because the kids seem to know, it's the parents asking,
Yeah.
but as soon as you say like, oh, ask your child, like, they seem to know, the kids all know what they're doing.
But it's extraneous circumstances
Oh,
right
absolutely,
now
yeah.
that children are trying to learn in.
Yeah.
You know? Luckily, I don't know, but our children seem to be pretty resilient, they bounce back well here.
Yeah, they are that, and that's the way kids usually are, and they're also so tech savvy.
Yeah.
So the grading process though, as far as due dates and stuff like that, that will be a rolling process, right? Because those parents are working, those kids still may not have somebody that can help
And then
them.
our teachers are great, they killed themselves here on their own time to gear up, so they'll work with their kids,
Right.
they have relationships with their kids. Teachers are already going through Google Classroom to have chats with the group and stuff like that, just because they miss each other.
I will say, I heard from a parent of a child with an IEP, special needs, and very impressed by the calls that they've gotten just to check up about how you're doing. So that's awesome.
And a lot of that's gonna happen too, going forward, with the kids who maybe won't be able to do some of this stuff that we think is so easy with Google Classroom. Where those self-contained special ed teachers are gonna have those calls and have those conversations with the parents to figure out, okay, how's the best way we can do this? and what can we do now, and what's gonna have to wait until I can get you a speech teacher or an OT or PT.
You might even be able to do some things over a
Yeah.
a screen, you know, so who knows?
Yeah.
I need a bell
Yeah.
in my house.
Telespeech therapy.
I need a bell in my house to go off, you know, the bell between
Yeah.
periods, ding, you know, it's time to work.
Get out of bed, that kind of stuff. you
Yeah.
know?
And John and I spoke too, and what we think will happen in Pennsylvania is everybody will be pushing towards learning management systems in the future with school districts. Like colleges operate on like a Blackboard or Canvas or something along those lines. Because then that creates the online courses that colleges run already, but that way school districts would have that just as a backup, you know, in case something like this happens. Because we're just switching over seamlessly. Boom, you know, now you're online. And so I think that we'll see that in the industry at least.
Without Google, we would be up the creek. I mean, because they have these free things like Google Classroom. Without them, we wouldn't have had a free platform to use as our vehicle, you know? And you can attach the videos to it and all that stuff, you know, so it's, the timing, I mean, if this was 10 years ago, we'd be in a whole different, A, there weren't Chromebooks, B, there wasn't things like Google Classroom. We would be stuck in the mud. We really wouldn't have a plan to do anything other than sit around and wait for them to tell us.
But we'd all be stuck in the mud together.
Yeah, that's
You
true.
know,
Yeah, every
it wouldn't even dawn on us to do something. I was talking to a fourth grade teacher and I was asking some of those questions. She goes, kids know how to do that. There are math tutorials online. They know how to get into it. If they don't understand how to do this, I said, well, what if you don't understand? There's a student tutorial on the phone. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And there's so
Careful.
many things, there's so many things that are out there like now, like reading eggs free. Everybody's putting out,
You study
Yeah, there's a lot of things.
There's a
lot of stuff out there.
so there's a ton of stuff. When you told me Khan Institute,
Yeah, Khan Academy.
Yeah,
all
Khan
those
Academy
things.
is awesome.
yeah, so
Yeah.
my daughter's around that, you know,
Khan Academy is
it's good.
And then my other notes, just in case the public doesn't know if they're listening in or whatever, but the Secretary of Education announced this afternoon that PSSA, Keystones, and the PASA, which is the alternate assessment, all have been suspended for the rest of the year. So we won't have those. And then that'll have ramifications on, we probably won't do what you might hear the educators call 82-1, which is the teacher evaluation system, which has student testing performance as part of it. So that'll probably be put on hold for a year too. You know, it'll just be based on observations and things like that. And if we ever get to see our teachers again before summer vacation, you know, it'd be a limited scale, just based on observations, because that other piece isn't gonna be there.
What a final year for everyone who's retiring.
Yeah, and for our poor seniors.
I know.
Yeah.
Let's just get last.
Yeah.
I mean, because we gotta, you know, we don't know where we're headed, you know, prom, graduation, scholarship night, all these special events. Seniors, who play spring sports, the high school musical, Delaware Middle School has a spring musical, all the spring concerts, you know, they're all in jeopardy, you know?
Did we lose somebody on the internet there? Because we're down at
It looks
two
it.
phones. We can't lose Ashley.
Did they happen to mention how much it's gonna save us not doing PSSAs and all that?
Well,
I saw something that said million. but-
it'll save the state millions if they haven't produced the books yet.
Okay,
If they produce the books already, will they be smart enough to
To
keep
use them
them in
next year?
storage and use them next year,
Right.
as opposed to discarding them because of some test, security, yada, yada,
If
yada.
they change the test every year, they'll need new books.
Yeah.
Right, that's how it works.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep.
well, nobody
So,
ever saw this. I thought
Somebody
they
makes a
just
lot of
gonna.
money off those.
Well, they're
That's
gonna,
not-
so
it's
there'll
all
be some
day.
breach in security
Yep,
that,
and then
somebody opened one of the
Yeah.
test booklets and now we can't use any of them.
That always cracks me up, like a
Old
third grader
beer.
really cares about checking with his friends as to what the question was.
right,
Doesn't happen.
and then,
They don't care.
so long-term, the only state that has dropped, has fallen off so far is Kansas. They've announced they will not come back to school this year. The
Okay.
governor of California said last night, that's likely what will happen in California. But we're waiting, nobody else dropped today, so, you know, so we're still holding our breath that there's still a possibility we can get the kids back in school sometime this spring. In addition to going online on March 30th, if that's the direction we go, we're also working on putting together a grab-and-go meal box lunch type program, where we will probably set it up at 3 locations, where Shahola, Dingman's, and DB, where there'd be 3 different locations for people to come and get meals. Wallenpaupack has already started it because they have a summer lunch program, so they're just replicating it now. But a lot of schools are looking that by the 30th that we have meals up, so. Justin Roselli, our food service manager, was at Wallenpaupack yesterday to see how their operation works. And we talked about ordering food, and he's like, well, how do I order like we're coming back? Or do I order like we're not coming back? And we brainstormed, and we came up with the idea that the menu the first day back will be deli sandwiches. Because that way, if we don't come back, we can use that meat and all that stuff for a week of box lunches. As a, so we'll have a two-pronged plan with the same amount of inventory.
Good.
So,
One school, and I don't remember where it was, they actually used the buses, the mini buses, to bring the food to communities.
Yeah.
Because we were,
Yeah.
primarily communities.
Jersey, right?
I think it was in
Yeah,
Jersey.
yeah.
So
East Stroudsburg, too.
just, they're
Oh,
doing
was
it too? Okay, because if,
They call them pop-up interviews.
yeah, just in case like kids that are out in Wild Acres, to get up to 7:39, especially if mom and dad are working and whatnot, but to get to the entrance of the development, that might not be, and that would be another way to give somebody a paying job again.
And our biggest issue is, in the school districts that are poor, a lot of poor districts qualify for everybody gets free lunch. And they do it because it's based on a school-wide basis. Once you reach a certain percentage, you can go school-wide and give your kids free. Whereas we are way below that. I think we have one school, the primary school, is flirting around almost 50%. But a lot of the other ones are down in the 30s and stuff like that. So if we were to do that and provide meals and pay the drivers and send them out and do all that stuff, now we'd be looking at a tremendous amount of meals, even for people who may not need them. They're just gonna walk to the bus stop and take them. And so it'd be like creating all the meals that we create now with absolutely no money coming in. So it would be a real issue.
But we should, didn't they say they would reimburse for the free and reduced lunch?
They will, but what I'm saying is if that's only 30% and 70% is our payable people, we'd have we're gonna have a real financial issue. So I'm not sure how to wrestle with that. It's easy, like I worked in a district where everybody got free lunch because in Kingston, New York, because we were so poor. So it wasn't an issue, and there was no cashier lady. You didn't need one because nobody paid anything. Whereas here, 60 to 70% of our kids do pay. So we're not sure that we can replicate what the poor districts are doing, where you drive the bus around and deliver meals, because we don't know what that cost could be. So, but people come out of the woodwork the other night. Boy, oh boy, they really came out of the woodwork the other night.
And that's something, I know their PD is offering guidance on, allowing more with the food program and everything. So that might be something that they do consider if you bring that up too.
Yeah, we haven't gotten an answer because
I'm sure,
we've sent them a lot of stuff, but we figure it's gonna take a while for them to catch up.
yeah,
And they're also asking us to funnel generic questions through our respective IUs.
okay,
And then if the IU doesn't have an answer, then it's only coming from 34 different sources instead of 500 sources.
right,
And so then we're doing that. So we have a call every Monday at 3 o'clock with all the superintendents in the IU. And we talk about, okay, what are all the questions that have come to your desk now that you don't have the answer? Because I got a bunch. What do you got? And then Chris Woelfel is taking those, and then they created a Google form where the IU directors can list the questions that we don't have answers for. Then that form, there's just one form from the 14 schools in IU 20.
right.
So it's a way to streamline the process. So, but they just haven't been able to answer because they've been so bombarded.
I have
And
to
now some
say,
of them from Department of Ed are hunkered down in the PEMA war room, or whatever they call it. Where they're inside the emergency management war room. Like you use like you see in the movies. And that kind of stuff. So
and Chris is doing a phenomenal job.
he's a great communicator.
Well, he has provided more information to participating school districts and to the board members. He's kept us abreast of everything, every step of the way.
And then in addition to the superintendent's weekly call, the business managers have one, the HR people have one, the curriculum people have one, the special ed people have one. And then we're doing daily calls through PASA, the school administrators. And on the PASA board of governors, there's one superintendent from every IU. So, and I'm the IU rep for IU 20 as well. So we're doing those every day at 3:30. Okay, what are the latest issues? And then they're also funneling stuff through a contact at BDE, try to get some answers. And then that segues me to, I sent you an email today, and there's a copy of it in your folder. This is a letter to the legislative leaders of the House and the Senate in Harrisburg from all the state organizations, the school administrators, the school business officials, school boards, principals associations, PAIU, the state teachers union, AFT, which is the other union in the state, AFSCME, and SEIU. So they're all the unions and all the organizations you can think of that deal with schools. And then you'll see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 bullets of things that they're recommending. Waive the 180-day school year requirement. Increase the number of flexible instructional days, which are online teaching days. Right now, you're only allowed to have 5 of those a year. Require BDE to apply for a federal waiver for PSSA and Keystone testing, which they did. That was the news today. Authorize the Secretary of Education to waive NOCTI and NIMS exams for CTE kids. That we're waiting to hear on. Ensure all employees receive no more and no less compensation than they otherwise would have. Make sure no employee receives more or less credit in the pension system than they would have normally. Make sure school districts provide all the protective gear for custodians, providing deep cleaning, and waive the 12-week student teacher requirement for our student teachers who are supposed to graduate next month, or in a month and a half. And then there's other legislation out there.
We lost somebody again.
Okay.
I don't know where Dylan is.
Right here.
And then there's also legislation to reimburse us for if we have to make contractual payments to our vendors, like our bus company, or if you have an outside food company or anything like that, that we could honor those contracts for the whole year and then also get reimbursement. So that the state doesn't say, well, you might have paid it, but we're not gonna reimburse your transportation or whatever. So we're waiting for language on that. But the good news is, we sent this letter yesterday, and today there's a bill in the Senate and there's a sister bill in the House. And they expect to vote on that electronically, because they passed legislation to have electronic voting in these circumstances. So we expect that this could get passed either tomorrow or Monday to get all these ducks in a row. So, because these are the things that have huge ramifications. Payroll, PSERS,
Yep.
vendor contracts, all these different things. I mean, there's just every day we get bombarded with probably 10 more questions of things like, wow, talk about a long distance ripple. You didn't even see that one coming. You didn't think about it. Unemployment, people on FMLA, people on maternity leave, people, how does this impact all these different things? Because are you counting days, not counting days? How does snow days work? So it's been really complicated. And so we've had people from PDE, we've had lawyers, we've had union reps, just trying to figure out all the questions and all the answers. So it's been a whirlwind for the last, the last 11 days nonstop, including Saturday and Sunday. We've been going 11 days straight with just craziness, so.
If they were gonna waive the 180 days, how low do you think they would go?
Basically, I think they'll tell us, well, you go to your graduation day, and that'd be it, as opposed to having to keep going to June 30th.
Gotcha.
So I think they'll just tell you, go whatever your last day was scheduled to be, go to that, and whatever you missed in the interim, that's what you missed.
How is this gonna affect, kids in CTE who would be working towards a certificate?
Well, they're probably gonna waive the hours, so if the certificate is through Pennsylvania, then they're probably gonna get credit for it. They'll probably have to do some mastery exams again, but there'll probably be a different standard, but that all hasn't fleshed out because we haven't even drilled down that far. It'll be 3 weeks probably before we start addressing academic issues, because there's so many issues with payroll and reimbursement. What is the state auditor gonna allow us to do, and all those things that we haven't even, I spent 2 hours today on education, and that's the first 2 hours on education I've spent 11 days. Just because there's so many organizational crazy things that need to be addressed that have never happened before in my 30 years it's been a whirlwind. I said, this will be a whole chapter in my autograph. Not that anybody will read it.
This-
Still, like,
this book
Bobo
is getting
saying
bigger
how
and
many
bigger.
Essential staff could be there, trying to figure out that every day.
I know.
Just,
Yeah, go
I'm
ahead.
sorry, one more question. For these 2 weeks that are considered snow days, there's no requirement on a snow day for any services or whatnot. Am I mistaken in that?
That you're correct.
Okay.
So it's just like a blizzard. Everything shuts down and we regroup.
So nothing is required until March 30th.
Right. Yeah.
Our snow days are.
And I spelled that out in the call today, just so there wouldn't be any confusion, because we talked about, how do we explain to people that we have 8 snow days, so the first 8 days off are gonna be snow days, and days 9 and 10 are gonna become instructional days online, and we might be back the Monday after that. And I said, listen, that is gonna blow people's circuits. You know, let's just bite the bullet, say 10 snow days and be done with it. So yeah, nothing, so no required teaching and no required homework starts till Monday the 30th.
I think we thought we were going to be approving
Retrospectively,
getting out early.
Yeah, go figure, right?
So, yeah.
Be careful. And then the final thing is, the governor just announced around 5 o'clock that he's shutting down all non-life sustaining businesses in Pennsylvania. So technically, he just announced it at 5 o'clock. He wants it to start at 8 o'clock tonight.
We have 28 more minutes.
But they won't start legally enforcing it till midnight tomorrow night. So I just did an email to the staff this afternoon after I did the Connect Ed Call community. I just did an email just now to the whole staff saying, if there's anything you need out of your buildings that you might need for the rest of the year,
Tomorrow.
you need to come tomorrow between 8 and noon, period.
They can't get into the buildings at all?
After noon tomorrow, there's no promise because legally, our businesses are closed.
Except the food.
Stupid.
The food will
The food
qualify,
can-
so if people.
And busing qualifies. School buses are still.
Yes,
They
school
still
buses were
qualify.
life sustaining,
So-
but not charter buses.
Yeah, so if someone gets pulled over coming here, if the cafeteria ladies get pulled over coming here and make sandwiches, they're okay.
Mhm.
You know, but it's really bizarre, that how this just,
Well,
It
and
doesn't even-
it's stopping unions and I mean, it's really
Yeah,
far
and legal
reaching.
services and, yeah, tomorrow should be very interesting to see how that all shakes out.
John, can you address our own busing company and what we're doing with that, please? Are they included in bullet number 5, our subcontractors?
Let me just see how 5 reads.
Because I read it and I don't see them as part of our
no, I don't think so.
educational support professionals. So the question is, do we pay them? I know we had a short conversation, but do we pay them every month? I mean, they've got bills to pay, people to pay.
Well, we're under contract, are we not?
I think it's a TBD, but as the way their contract is, it starts in September and we pay them for 12 months after that. So they're not paid way ahead, you know what I mean? It was just the way that the deal was struck, so I think that decision would probably, first of all, I'm hoping to get better guidance next week from the state. But I don't believe they're overpaid, they're not overpaid at this point because of the way that we paid them. But they did.
I'm not saying overpaid, I'm saying
Yeah.
if we go to the end of the year with no more school, they have to pay their leases and they have to pay their people.
Well, they might not be paying their people if the people aren't working. They might be on unemployment.
Yeah, I
Well,
don't.
we want that.
The other
They've
real
already happened.
The other is a reimbursement, so if the state, and then the one thing that John mentioned, I can't find it right here, but it said something about that maybe it's not on this list, but another list, that it's important that if the state was gonna, so if we ended up paying them and then they reimburse us like they normally do, as if we did the bus run, now that's big money. I mean, 50% or whatever for us, or something in that area. I mean, the other thing is, do you somehow try and say, as long as, I think they probably need a blessing from PDE on reimbursement, you need a blessing from the Auditor General to say, 3 years from now, they're not gonna give us a finding because we didn't run all the runs and, that type of thing. The other thing is should there be an adjustment to them, if we were to pay them, do we come up with some sort of fuel adjustment because they didn't spend the fuel? You know what I mean?
It's fuel.
Right.
So obviously, we've got a lot to work
But
out.
they did have wear and tear, but they also didn't get the ability to do the extracurricular runs, which, you know, not gonna happen, so it might be a trade-off there, but, I mean, I think we have to entertain possibly honoring the contract. I mean, in full.
But bullet number 5, John, with your group did not address
No,
that
because
issue.
they're not school employees.
Okay, so we have to, that's
Yeah,
for us.
that'd be, yeah.
And that reimbursement we count on the revenue side every year, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
And it's what, a year behind?
it's, yeah, and that you get reimbursed a year
a
later.
year later, right?
I think the biggest reimbursement we could go after is the fuel.
What was that?
I think the biggest reimbursement that would be fair would be the fuel.
Depends on their labor, but
They're
not
not using
fuel.
fuel. Yeah, they're not using fuel.
Yeah, so ideally, if you can keep your employees employed, otherwise, if we do come back to this Jersey, we could be struggling to find bus drivers. So if we can keep our employees employed and then make those adjustments, like you said,
Yeah.
because they're not factoring in wear and tear, they're not using the gas. That's where the variation would make sense, right?
Well, I want to get that information to them as soon as possible. so
Yeah,
that
and we're working on it.
That's a good point.
We've already talked to them and we're in conversations with them. Yeah.
Good.
Believe me, they called right away.
Yeah.
I don't know when to mention it, so I'll just mention this now because what Jack just said was on my list, but I mean, we're gonna have savings here as far as running the school. We don't have to keep the buildings as warm as we're keeping them. We don't have to keep the lights on. There's gonna be that kind of a savings. We're not gonna be cleaning the product of the school every single night because there's no children in it. Obviously, we're not gonna use toilet paper, paper towels, things like that.
I'm selling that out on tour.
It's not
You
easy.
knew that was coming.
It's not easy.
But there's gonna be savings there, so we have to look and identify where we can save as much, because on the other side, the cost side of this is, it's just gonna be a factor of matter, people are not gonna be able to pay their school taxes, so Bill will be waiting for those, the receivables next year, and they're just not gonna come, they're gonna come late. So I think we gotta start, try to find out where we can save as much as possible right now, and scrimp and save while the buildings are closed, and identify all of that.
Yeah.
To offset what he's gonna face, because he's gonna face a lot of,
And we really, long-term economically, we don't know where we are, but it could be bad, it could be fine, because we don't know where it's going. But yeah, from the saving of expenditure side, there's clear, we're not having events. The kids aren't going to nationals and worlds and states and we're not playing sports, so you're not paying referees and coaches and trainers and all that stuff. That's a big nut.
I think it's important to,
Yeah.
right now is the time to increase those savings. I don't know, turn the heat, you can't turn it off. Turn it, like the mighty cold for,
Yeah. Yeah.
Is someone taking care of the koi?
I can't do
What was that?
Someone taking care of the koi?
Yeah, John's taking the money from the toilet paper. He's
The koi died, all of them.
I was gonna
They
die.
I'm sorry to hear.
oh, they really did?
Yeah.
Oh,
You forgot to feed
because
them.
they weren't fed or why?
No, something else happened. I don't know what happened, but I just heard they died.
He just presented.
Sorry, I
Yeah, I
asked.
know. I'm glad it was
Didn't
last
that-
month that he
didn't that
presented, not this month.
Person
I
who
know.
called in
Well, I did
predict
this
that.
month, but-
Yeah, I don't know.
It was
I don't know. I mean,
predicted
we've
they
had
were
great
going-
weather, so it wasn't
Yeah, it
cold.
wasn't
It
weather-wise.
was some little
So-
glitch. Somebody called in or wrote in
Somebody-
about, they
somebody put-
predicted that.
Well, they were talking about frozen water, which we didn't have, because it stayed
No,
warm.
is that what it was?
Yeah.
Something.
Anyway, we got 19 minutes.
Oh,
Anyway.
yeah.
All right.
You're done with your?
I'm good, yeah.
All right.
I think we should put some money aside next year
For
for
koi?
Babbitt's, if you will, koi.
And just to wrap it up, I just want to thank you for, not the whole meeting, just thank you and your staff and everybody for everything, so.
Sure, thanks. Thanks.
Moving on, do I have a motion to accept the treasurer's report?
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Hi.
Any opposed? Hearing no objections, the motion carries. And may I have a motion to accept the bills for payment, which include the general fund, cafeteria fund, and capital reserve fund?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing no objections?
Aye.
Thanks, Felicia.
You gotta give it a delay there,
I know,
Cory.
I forgot. We went through this, I think.
It's delayed on my end too. I'm watching it and it's on.
Oh,
Thanks, Felicia.
I can wave to Felicia.
Yeah,
Did I say bye, Felicia?
I know. So So, moving on to personnel items. May I have a motion to approve the personnel items, including resignations, appointments, requests for child-rearing leaves, requests for extension of bereavement, change of status, change of salary, and administrative transfers, adding that we added regrets for the retirements that we accepted.
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing no objections, the motion carries. We'll need a brief executive session to discuss student issues quick. We will be returning. May I have a motion to move into executive session?
Motion.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing no objections, the motion carries.
Does the green mean they're
Camera
talking
or
or?
staying here?
We're gonna stay here,
right?
right?
Turn that
Yeah.
We'll stay here
Yeah.
with the camera
I'm
on.
watching the bottom left.
Let's
He's
just
gonna-
make sure it's off.
Vicky's gonna mute it in the bottom left here, you see?
we lost somebody again.
And we lost the number again. But,
Yeah.
Is
Yeah,
it the
they
same
didn't
number
call
we
back
keep losing?
either.
oh, they didn't call back. All right.
It's not Ashley, right? We still have Ashley. You need a
How
solicitor.
do you know?
Yeah, and actually, you don't need a
My
solicitor at the
glasses,
meeting, believe it or
No.
No,
not. No, most districts don't have one, because they have a big firm,
yeah, it's not
and they just are on
on
consult.
the learn.
It should be broken.
All right, we have a motion to move back into regular session.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing no objections, the motion carries. We'll move on to items for approval. May I have a motion for the approval of additional volunteers as per the attachment?
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion?
Is there any way we can turn the camera back on?
I just turned it back on.
That's a little bit of a delay.
Can you see that, Brian?
Yeah, it's like a minute delay.
Let us know when it comes
Yeah,
back,
just wait a
okay?
second. It's back? Okay. All right, thanks, Brian. Thank you, sir. All right. We did that. Over here. All right. Yeah, usually I mark it. May I have a motion for the approval of school hours for the 2020-2021 school year as listed below? And there are no changes.
Motion.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing no objections, the motion carries. Now may I have a motion for the approval of the board meeting dates for the 2020-2021 school year as listed?
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion?
John, you had said that the meeting, the Pennsylvania School Board was changed in October.
Yes.
And I keep seeing things asking people to sign up to offer courses the Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Yeah, they announced it's gonna be Sunday, Monday, Tuesday.
Oh, okay, because they've got it,
They still have the old.
They've got the old dates on there.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay,
Nathan
okay.
had sent it out to us, but at PASA, because we're the co-sponsors.
right,
To say, just so you know, because they drive the bus, that we're gonna do the front end, because we think we can get greater participation on a Sunday.
okay. No, I was just, there was a conflict in the dates, and I'm like, wait, I thought they said the
If something happens and it changes back, we'll just modify our calendar. if we have to.
Okay, thank you.
All right, is there any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing no objections, the motion carries. And may I have a motion for the approval of the readmit student 2019-2020 100119334 effective February 26th, 2020?
Motion, second.
All right, there's no discussion since that's a student issue. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing no objections, the motion carries. May I have a motion for the approval of expulsion of student 2019-2020 1000644 through the end of the second marking period of the 2020-21 school year with the right to reapply at the end of the first marking period of the 2021 school year if stipulations are met?
So moved.
Second.
All right, there's no discussion on that since it's a student issue. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing no objections, the motion carries. May I have a motion for the approval of expulsion for the expulsion of student 2019-2020 1001177 through the end of the second marking period of the 2020-21 school year with the right to reapply at the end of the first marking period of the 2021 school year if stipulations are met?
So moved.
Second.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing no objections, the motion carries. May I have the motion for the approval of may I have a motion for the approval for the expulsion of student 2019-2020 1008687 through the end of the first marking period of the 2021 school year with the right to reapply at the beginning of the 2021 school year if stipulations are met?
Motion.
Second.
No discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing no objections, the motion carries. May I have a motion for the approval for expulsion of student for the expulsion of student 2019-2020 2000507 through the end of the first marking period of the 2020-21 school year with the right to reapply at the beginning of the 2020-21 school year if stipulations are met.
Motion.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing no objections, the motion carries. May I have a motion for the approval of for expulsion of student 2019-2020 10008-351 through the end of the first marking period of the 2021 school year with the right to reapply at the beginning of the 2020-2021 school year if stipulations are met.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing no objections, the motion carries. May I have a motion for the approval for expulsion of student 2019-2020 10008-666 for the remainder of the 2019-2020 school year?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing no objections, the motion carries. Right. May I have a motion for the approval of the DVA's courses and instructors for summer 2020 as per the attachment?
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing no objections, the motion carries. May I have a motion for the approval of the board policies listed 1 through 6 below?
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing no objections, the motion carries. May I have the motion for the approval of Colonial Intermediate Unit number 20 general operating budget for 2020-21, including the administrative services, curriculum development services, management services, and instructional material services?
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion on that?
Our increase is $341.65. This is one of our smaller contributions. I think it's well worth it.
Absolutely. And the wealth of services down there. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing no objections, the motion carries. May I have a motion for the approval of amending the number 2 fuel, oil, diesel, fuel, and unleaded gasoline bids to include the period 7/1/21 through 6/30/22 as per the attachment?
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion on that?
Good job, Bill.
Good job.
Thanks, Bill.
Thanks for giving me the go-ahead on that. I think it was wise to take advantage of these times.
Yeah.
So we did it with the bond
Excellent.
issue and we did it with fuel. But just to show you the world right now, Corey's got a bunch of papers we signed there. They already had completed the FedEx to have sent back to the law offices. I just got a text that says he would just send it to my house in Carlisle, PA, bond council. Because they evidently can't go to their offices.
No, they can't.
Nope, right.
So it's amazing. So we'll still save our $225,000.
We'll take it.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
Send it someplace different.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, 65,000 is what we saved on the fuel bill.
Nice.
Oh, excellent.
Well, the
Yeah.
reduction from this year's price, or 2021's price is going into 21-22 rough. Now we know that we already have a lot, but
Can I get my gas
Nice.
here next year? 205 a gallon, that's pretty
Save
good.
Friday.
Yeah.
Brings in the profit forward.
but yeah, it was, we're down a little bit more on Monday actually, but I'm glad.
Yeah, well, I saw the 213 today in New Jersey, and I thought that was pretty good. So that's even better. 150 is even better than
We're 2 for 2, Bill.
I'm
We're 2 for 2.
Yeah.
All right. All right. So we just need to vote on that, right? Circling back,
Yeah, yeah, we have a motion and a second, I think.
so this is on the floor. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing no objections, the motion carries. We'll move to other business. First from the board. Is there any other business from the board?
I was gonna ask Bill, do we have a line of credit in place in case we need funding going into the future?
A line of credit?
A line of credit with our local bank or somebody else?
No, we have old grandfather debt that we could, but I think our fund balance is.
Well, before we dip into a fund balance, which would be a permanent move, perhaps if we need to, we would take short-term measures to use bank financing for a short period of time.
Because the money is extremely cheap.
The money's real cheap.
I mean, like for his future CapEx projects and things of that nature.
So whatever the needs are, even if it's towards general funding.
Yep.
If we're looking at not raising taxes next year, I would hate to use fund balance if it's just gonna be a one-year issue. And I'd rather borrow the money and just put it off a year. And then maybe then we can use the fund balance, see what turns out with this whole thing. But I'd like to have a line of credit availability, like any small business would, going into this type of environment.
It's nice to have it available, but I wouldn't want to draw on it to do a zero.
Yeah.
Because.
I'm saying that would be an option, but
Yeah, because now you're starting the next year in that much of a hole. You know what I
with
mean?
the fund balance.
You gotta pay it back somewhere.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
Well, that's just something to look into, though.
I mean, having the line of credit isn't a bad thing. It's always nice to have it out there. It doesn't cost a lot to have it.
We used to always have it, but I think over the years we didn't need it anymore.
Yeah.
These are extraordinary times.
Yeah.
We had $1 million line of credit.
Available.
Can get you through the squeeze and the rate being so close to zero,
I can look
now
into
it's
it.
almost
Yeah,
like.
that's all, man.
Thanks, Tom.
I'm sure there's a cost.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
The cost is minimal. It just gives you another option.
Is there any other business from the
I
board?
agree with it.
Yeah, I just wanted, the all-call was great this afternoon, and I would just encourage us to use that more often, because not everybody sees what's on Facebook, and a lot of times, like someone had shared the thing about Tuesday's giveaway on Wednesday night, like, look what the school's doing on Tuesday. Well, no, it's not this coming Tuesday, it was us, because of just the way things go. So bravo, let's use the all-call more, because it really does, it gets to everybody.
Yeah.
Thanks.
All right, and then we have a few questions from the public.
Yeah, there's two questions. They're both good questions. The first one is, why use snow days? Governor Wolf called the state of emergency and closed all schools. That is true. The governor did close schools. However, the law says that you must have 180 school days of the year, and you can go to school all the way through June 30th, including having a school on one Saturday per month all spring in order to get to your 180 before they forgive you. Now, we are lobbying to have that law changed, but that is the law right now. So whether we call them snow days or not, we still have to get to 180 days by June 30th, the way the law states as of today. The second question is, how do changes we are implementing for regular school affect DV Cyber Academy? The DV Cyber kids actually have a little flexibility. They can take the 2 weeks of snow day if they want, or they can plow ahead and keep on moving and get their work done and actually get done before all the other kids. So the DV Cyber kids have the choice, move ahead or take a 2-week hiatus. And that's all we have.
All right, great, thank you.
Did you do a roll call today? I apologize.
Yes. Yeah.
I think, you know what, and I give you a great compliment. I think you're a very common resource.
I didn't use my voice today.
No, it
I
was
saved
the
that for the big
automated.
ones.
Well,
Yeah.
then I take everything back.
Okay.
I want to hear your voice, so maybe you could do a weekly.
Well, probably next week when we have our plan for March 30th, that's gonna be, because that's a big deal. That's what everybody's kind of holding. They can live with snow days, but if we're gonna make a dramatic change to 100% online until further notice, that's a big deal,
I
so.
mean, DV is a main focal point of this community, and it's nice to hear from somebody like yourself. You have a calming effect on people. Let's take advantage of that.
Thanks.
And I also just want to make sure we're echo this appreciation to the staff and faculty from the board, especially during this. You know, it's not easy to transition online, and I think we're uniquely well positioned to do that, you know, because we do use so many web-based resources already in the classroom, so that's helpful. But
And the member of staff, I think, that volunteered to do the food distribution and Chromebook distribution was really, it was nice to see the number of people that came out. So kudos to them for coming out and doing that for everybody.
I know.
They stood 6 feet apart.
They were not practicing social distancing.
Well, they practice in the mirror.
Down
There
here,
there was hand sanitizer on the table though, so.
we had to remind them about the cones and how they work here, you know, to make sure they stayed spaced from cone to cone to cone.
I know myself and Corey came down here to volunteer, and there was really nothing for us to do, right? I mean, they had,
There's a lot of
Yeah,
volunteers
people come out of the
there was a
woodwork
lot
and
of
volunteer.
volunteers.
And I imagine we'll be doing this all over again on all 3 campuses next week with Chromebooks. If we're headed in the direction of online, like I think we are.
It's great, and everybody that came out, like the community, people from the community, very patient, very waiting. Everybody, John had the code set out 6 feet apart, and everybody understood social distancing, respect your neighbor. It went flawlessly, it really did, it was nice. And there was no bad, everybody in the community really pitched in and made it a nice thing, you know, in these trying times, and they are trying, very difficult.
Sure.
And this might be a message maybe for Vicky. I mean, where are we at with Chromebooks with percent out versus what we have left in stock?
So we get around 150 at Dingman's Tuesday night, 130 down here, and 60 some at Shahola.
Okay.
But we have 3,900.
Right.
So,
Total for the
and we just did another, what did we do tonight? Maybe,
About 60 more
did we
probably.
really? Okay. So we're probably a little over 400
Yeah.
at a 3,900.
Very good.
Do we have any idea how many homes do not have internet service?
No, part of my call next, I'm shooting for Tuesday night, of course, things move daily and sometimes.
Oh, I won't hold you to Tuesday.
But I'm shooting, but, we did a survey years ago and it was shocking, but we're thinking it's somewhere around 5%. Now, because it used to be a much different story, and, you know, especially in the woods. Things are a lot better now than they were a decade ago in terms of, you know, service. But part of I'm planning on doing a call Tuesday night if we know what we're up to for the following week. And then that is when we're gonna ask people who do not have it to contact if it's elementary, contact your teacher, so he or she knows. And if it's secondary, to contact the main office of the school, so that we know how many paper packets we need to start producing and stuff like that, based on them calling back after my ConnectEd call.
And we can bring, with going almost new restrictions tonight, we can bring people in to do that.
Because we're gonna deem it essential, we're gonna deem the people that come in and answer the call, take the voicemails of the calls that come in. We're gonna deem that essential because without it, kids aren't gonna get their education.
Okay.
It may be the administrators,
Yeah.
because they're disposable, so, no,
Not essential.
all of the things as defined by the superintendent, you know, the last thing.
Right.
Is there,
Will that meet, I didn't get to read the governor's stipulations, that'll meet the governor's stipulations as of tonight?
I've just been getting texts from different organizations. That includes custodians to make sure the boilers are running, to make sure the sewer plant's running. If there's anything that breaks, they can come in and do it. It also allows for the meals, the people to come to prep the meals. So it gives you some wiggle room, but not just a plain old position, you know, so. They did give us some latitude, and we got some clarification since this meeting started about, HASA called the governor's office, they had clarification about a couple things, which gives a little more latitude.
Okay, good, excellent.
If you were to make a guess, would you think this is gonna go at least through the end of spring break?
I think that's the next natural break, you know, transition that, you know, if we're not going back to school physically on the 30th, then the next checkpoint is the week after Easter,
Spring break.
you know, and then if we're not in by the week after Easter, it's probably May 1st and then next year, you know.
yeah.
Okay.
That's probably, just from the way the calendar falls, that's probably our next couple checkpoints.
Peg had mentioned something when I was up in Chihuahua the other day about having some kind of a device that you can get for families that don't have internet access.
Yeah, and there's a cost to that.
I'm sure there's
Because
a cost.
it would be data minutes, no?
Yeah, and there are different companies around the country, Service Electric for their people in Bethlehem, Spectrum just across the river in New York, who are actually working with families without internet to give them free internet during this time period.
Okay.
But we're not at that. Peg has been all over. She's talked to Verizon, she's talked to Penn Teledata and all that. We were actually the first district to call Penn Teledata, and their corporate office is working on something
Okay.
where they may be able to reach out and do something for a short-term period.
Right.
time period for families.
Even Dish Network, can't they do because what if they don't have cable run to their house?
Yeah, and the other thing too is, Xbox, PS4s, your phones. People forget, we're gonna pretty much be able to, kids are gonna be able to do this stuff on their phones.
Yeah, that's
too.
going around Facebook, and apparently kids aren't happy when they come.
And some of the reason that people don't have internet is because if they have, unlimited data on their phones and their devices,
They don't
then they
have
don't
that
have
either.
internet at their house.
Yeah.
Mind you, it's much more difficult to use your hotspot stuff
Sure.
to do some of this work. But I know, because I was talking to Peg about those devices,
Right.
and part of the problem with them is that the production wasn't gonna start until April first.
Well, that was the
other
other thing,
districts
yeah,
ahead
she
of
and I were
us.
on that call
So,
together.
yeah,
Okay.
so
And
we
he said
can't get
even
them in
if we
time.
wanted them the day we called them, which, I don't even know if today is Thursday, I think that was Monday.
Yep.
He goes, the earliest right now is like April 3rd. That
Right.
was the earliest we could even hope to maybe get something.
Yep.
Okay.
And the cost on, the cheaper ones, well, then there was no limit on how much data, and then you're paying for that. So it was, they weren't really giving us any kind of deal.
Yeah.
The IU is also working with Blue Ridge. I got an email from them today, in PTD. So hopefully something will come from that. But
Right.
the other night I was at Dingman's and I only had 2 moms ask me, well, they came for a Chromebook anyway, and they said, well, I don't have internet, but I'm gonna take it because I'm gonna try to work something out. But, so 2 out of all the ones that we gave out. So
Right.
that was, that was pretty good. And then I know there's spots in Shahola, it's like the dead zone down there, like you really need Wi-Fi, so it's gonna be hit or miss. I don't think it's as many as we
Siberia.
think it is right now, but, we'll see.
Well, and two, even, the printed packets and things like that, back in the day, that was the old correspondence.
Correspondence,
education.
right.
And that is what I told them,
Day.
yeah.
It was like a couple of years ago, Corey.
No, it wasn't.
That was the
I was
old
trying to
days.
sound older than
Back
it
in the
is.
day.
And we don't have any old, because I'm talking, apparently I'm back in the day, because I know nothing about these new things, but we don't have any of the old laptop type computers that they could, the lessons could be loaded on them and they could do them from there
Oh,
without.
because all the lessons are on those
They're all
websites.
in the cloud, right?
Yeah, everything's in the cloud, wherever that is.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the old laptops are gone. The only one, we have new high-powered ones like for engineering and stuff like that, but all the old laptops have been replaced over
Yeah,
time.
they're done.
Just because the Chromebooks are so
Those are
costly.
the apples, no, they're not going.
We're gonna keep those.
They're not going.
All right, anything else? With that, we'll move to announcements. The meeting schedule, April 16th, 2020, we'll have a work session, 7 o'clock here in the Delaware Valley Administrative Offices. April 23rd, 2020, we'll have the regular board meeting, 7 o'clock in the administration offices. As I said in the beginning of the meeting, we'll continue to monitor the situation as to how that meeting's held. We will also need a quick executive session after this meeting to discuss negotiations. May I have a motion to adjourn the meeting and move into executive session?
Motion, second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing no objection, the motion carries and the meeting is adjourned.